Welcome to Variations in Landscape. I'm visual artist Benedict, a self-described bricoleur working in the London Regionalist tradition. This exhibit is a summary of my 30-year working history, completed over the past 3 years, with a focus on the media of landscape. In this, I'm looking to the history of landscape painting in Ontario, utilizing this voice and inserting myself into this tradition. In taking on this challenge of placing myself and my artwork amongst the history of art making in London, Ontario, Canada, with that specific focus on landscapes, I am placing myself within a certain lineage that I have defined as a historical line from Homer Watson through the Group of Seven to the London Regionalists, to finally myself, the next in the lineage of London Regionalists as its champion and current purveyor. Within this historical line runs the thread of originality. Throughout this investigation, I explored the tools and methodologies within various London Regionalist artists whose work I have staked claim to, as well as how I have moved on to build upon these tools to develop my own form of London Regionalism, with an emphasis on deconstructed language and imagery, materialism and found objects, experience and memory, and in this, continue to move London's regionalist tradition forward, or perhaps to its logical conclusion. Social justice issues and my approach utilizing a critical theory coupled with deconstructed narratives and found objects have become the tools of my trade. My artistry has benefited from this historical lineage. My working methodology begins with an idea and an image in my mind, followed by a sketch, refined by detailed specification and materials and found objects to be included. Materials are assembled and manipulated, be it wood or paper assemblages. They are then prepared archivally, assembled, and with the color palette selected, painted, not necessarily in that order, depending on the engineering parameters set for completing. In this process of painting largely detailed and calculated objects, I utilize the leftover paint from each palette to create palette paintings. While cleaning my brushes and palette, I am able to create more spontaneous works to develop over time. Eventually, using this limited palette, a dialogue is created between the colors and forms on the page in determining the final image. Not all are successful. The ones presented here are. In these two veins, I would classify my work as constructed and intuitive, with the full weight of my experiences and influences imbued in each. How have I benefited from London's regionalism? From Bernice Vincent, I found the beauty, both complex and simplified, in her explorations of everyday life. Over time, I have found we shared a passion for a full color palette. From Greg Curnow, letters, words, text, both as narrative of London, as well as a design tool. It is from the inspiration of Curnow that I started putting the title on the face of my work and signing my name in block letters. Also, because of many historical artworks that cannot be attributed because the artist's signature is illegible, and therefore with limited value. Then there's Curnow's belief that great and critically defined artworks could be produced in London by artists who had chosen to live here. Patterson Ewan and Murray Favreau have had a significant influence on my work as constructivists. In reference to Murray Favreau, Curnow writes that he just builds things. I like the simplicity of that as one who also just builds things. This exhibit is a result of that effort. I also believe that each artwork can stand on its own as original, as in my own form of originality. It's why I claim to work in the London Regionalist tradition, though in this presentation I'm staking claim to that next or last in line of regionalism. In this then, my regionalism, these experiences and subsequent output come from me, my ideas, my fingers in London, and often with materials and objects coming from within 100 feet of my home or on my travels. I, like many London artists, have utilized the depiction of subjects drawn from a limited geographical area, specifically places I have walked, in that, as a body of work rather than a series of accomplishments, it has grown beyond mere landscapes to addressing the ecology or the totality or pattern of relations between organisms and their environment. My goal is that they can be experienced conceptually, kinetically, and visually in dynamic modernist languages. These images are more than just a place on the map. They are authentically produced as a result of self-reflection and critique from personal and local experiences for the most part, and are a phenomena and interesting objects in themselves. Within the journey, there is also growth as a person, artist, and in the dialogue moving from images of the land to engaging critically with landscape's ideological and semiotic construction. At the beginning of this journey through southwestern Ontario's history and relationship to the landscape genre, I challenged myself to respond within London's regionalist tradition. Can I make claim to the entire landscape genre? Hardly. But I can to its universality as a way of communicating and challenging the status quo of our local ecology. Furthermore, while I've drawn from the artists of my history, from Homer Watson through the Group of Seven to the London Regionalists, I believe I can make claim to Kernow's original, a blending of original and regional, as that next in the lineage of London Regionalists, as its champion and current purveyor, following Jamili Hassan. I also need to pay homage to my beginnings as a fine art graduate from the University of Western Ontario in 1993. Those who taught me fine art, drawing, painting, photography, printmaking, and sculpture. Kim Moody, Sheila Butler, Duncan DeCurgamo, David Merritt, Helmut Beckler, Cyril Reed, and Colin Urban. Critical theory includes Madeline Lennon, Catherine Brush, Mark Cheatham, and Jose Barrio-Garay, as well as studio technicians Wynne Gillentz and Jerry Verbeck. Each of these individuals have influenced my life, artworks, and decision-making process in terms of my creativity. The specifics I'll keep to myself, but I have great memories of this challenging time as a mature student. Here too, the concept of London's regionalism was well represented and taught as the golden standard. In the curating or specific design of the exhibit, with 47 pieces, the space is full and fully engaged. There are works on paper in white frames to further accentuate their pop qualities, as well as their being designed and original works. Others by their mixed media collage format, some utilizing text, titles, and signature as part of the overall design. There are sculptures and hanging assemblages of wood and found objects. There are also many palette paintings, several created from other larger pieces in the exhibition. In closing, I offer these words of Homer Watson, who often argued that every familiar scene is hallowed with a glamour which gives charm the attraction of a strange land can never give, and he paints it with his soul. In 1934, 90 years ago, Homer Watson, in a letter to the 10th Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Mackenzie King, wrote, "I feel more should be looked for and searched for in the forms and textures of nature, in order to bring about a revelation of its infinity, which is, in my estimation, the duty and joy of the landscape painter. This journey has been pure joy." Thank you.